Well, Modi has already left for a 7-day visit to Ireland and the US. In fact, Ireland is going to be the first stopover of the Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He would be first stopping at Dublin, which is the Irish capital. Modi will be the first Indian, in fact, Prime Minister to visit Ireland in 60 years. The Prime Minister will now make this brief stopover before he heads to the US. In Dublin, in fact, Modi will be holding talks with his Irish counterpart, Enda Kenny. The Irish Prime Minister is also hosting Modi for a working lunch today. India and Ireland will be exploring possibilities of working together on global challenges, including climate change, poverty alleviation, sustainable development goals, environment and disarmament. The Prime Minister will also be meeting the 26,000-strong Indian community in Dublin before heading for New York later in the evening. Joining us for more on this, Lavina, is now joining us from London, in fact. So, Lavina, this is going to be an interesting visit by the Prime Minister. It's the first, visit by an Indian Prime Minister in as many 60 years. What are the expectations? And if you just give us, a brief update on his itinerary.
Okay, I'm in Dublin at the moment, and the itinerary I would start with, he is expected to land here at about 11:30, after which he will head straight to his hotel, where he would be greeted and met by the Prime Minister of this country, Enda Kenny. They're going to have a working lunch, and after that, he will meet the diaspora who are collecting in the same hotel because he doesn't have too many hours here in Ireland, and also the idea is to refuel his aircraft. He will then be meeting at about 2 o'clock, 1:45, with the diaspora, a short, brief address to the diaspora, about 2,000 to 3,000, 1,500 people capacity in the hall, and 500 are expected to standing outside, after which he'll come down and meet. Apparently, we have been promised that he'll try and meet as many people, and most, if he can, personally, the diaspora, and after which he'll have a brief nap and then head straight to New York. As far as the expectations are concerned, I just said 26,000 Indians living here, and of them, a lot of them are professionals, specifically from IT and the doctor's background. They go continuously and have very strong links with India. What they are expecting is a direct flight, if he could make it, because everywhere he goes, he has this entire perception of making and doing something and making big announcements for the diaspora. And the Indian Irish diaspora are hoping for a direct flight from Dublin to Mumbai or Delhi, and this is their main need and also expectation from the Prime Minister. Also, I think that between India and Ireland, there can be a very strong link as far as clean energy goes. They can work something on it, and as you said, the sixth after Jawaharlal Nehru, he's the first Prime Minister to come here. It would be interesting to see why people have not actually taken an interest here, while there can be a very strong link. And also, we have to remember that Ireland has a very strong link with China and Pakistan. There are more Pakistani people in Ireland than India. So that's one link that one would want to strengthen, considering it is just in the European Union next to United Kingdom. So a short visit, but significant in some ways, depending on what he says.
Oh, absolutely. And very interesting point there, Lavina, you made about the presence of, the number of people from Pakistan and China and Ireland. I just want to, while it would be unfair to make a comparison to the kind of reception he received at Madison Square last year, I just wanted to ask you, any special preparations that has been made by the Indian diaspora before they meet the Prime Minister?
Well, he has very short time here.
Okay.
You see, so everything is being done in the hotel where he is expected to stay for those 4 or 5 hours. So I went around asking people here how interested they are in receiving him. So, of course, we can't expect Madison Square here. There are not so many Indians. There's 26,000 of them. Not all have been able to register. It's not like what they're expecting in London. They're expecting in Wembley Arena about 50,000 people, and the arena can take that capacity. But this hotel can maximum take 1,500 to 2,000. The seating arrangements have been removed because there have been so many people coming in, and you can only allow X number of people, despite the fact that they had pre-registration. So I was told that when they opened the registration, within 3 weeks, there were 3,000 people, and they had to shut down the registration because they could not take so many people. So there is a lot of curiosity, there's a lot of this charisma that he carries every time he goes abroad. And so it attracts people. Also the fact that maybe he's going to do something for us. Maybe he's going to make that announcement that I mentioned you. So, yes, there is a lot of hoo-ha about him, but it can't be a Madison Square or any other place because this is Ireland, small country, small diaspora, and small space.
All right, Lavina, thank you so much for joining us, getting us all the updates on that short but very significant trip that is being made by the Prime Minister to Ireland. In fact, he would be meeting his Irish counterpart as well in a short while, and obviously both the countries, very keen to build economic ties during this visit. And then from Ireland, the Prime Minister is off to the United States. And as before, investment and bilateral ties are going to be high on the list of the Prime Minister's priorities. In fact, in New York, Modi will be addressing a UN Sustainable Development Summit and participate in a summit on peacekeeping being hosted by US President Barack Obama. The Prime Minister will also be meeting several world leaders out there. There is also going to be a working dinner with a number of Fortune 500 companies to attract investment into India. And the highlight of this visit will be Modi's trip to the glitzy Silicon Valley. On day 3 of his visit, Modi will be travelling to the West Coast, where he will be also visiting Facebook headquarters for a town hall Q&A with CEO Mark Zuckerberg. He will also be visiting Google campus and Tesla Motors. And then on Sunday, Modi will be interacting with the Indian diaspora in San Jose.
Cities, New York over the next few days to attend the 70th session of the United Nations General Assembly. The Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrives here on Wednesday evening, and just right behind me is the legendary Waldorf Astoria Hotel, where he's going to stay till the 25th before he flies off to San Jose to be in Silicon Valley as the first Indian Prime Minister to, of course, interact with the Indian and American techies out there. He will be crisscrossing, of course, and coming back all the way to New York for his bilaterals with Barack Obama on the 28th of September. But what is interesting is that this hotel is going to house some 16 heads of states, not just Narendra Modi, but also his Pakistani counterpart Nawaz Sharif. And while there is no official bilateral meeting between the two which has been scheduled, this is a large hotel though. There is an Astoria side to it and there are the tower side to it. So we'll have to wait and watch really if there will be an occasion for the paths to cross as far as these two leaders are concerned. And if it does, will they maybe exchange that momentary smile or a handshake? But clearly, there's a lot of activity here in New York, especially with all powerful leaders, including Xi Jinping of China, to, of course, Nawaz Sharif, to all the others being in America. Narendra Modi had that historic visit, of course, on his first American visit last year. Pope Francis is also going to be in New York and organizing a mass at the Madison Square Garden, the very place where Narendra Modi addressed that strong Indian diaspora last year. Here in New York with video journalist Ashok Bhanot, this is Smita Sharma for India Today.
And on the eve of Modi's departure to the US, the Cabinet Committee on Security also gave its go-ahead to the critical arms deal, which could also potentially boost defense ties between the two nations. The approval for the 22 Boeing Apache attack and 15 heavy lift Chinook helicopters means the replacement of the military's aging Russian origin choppers. Now, this deal is estimated at a whopping $3 billion. The two sides ended negotiations on the helicopters months ago, but it was actually the budget constraints that had held up the deal so far. The Indian Air Force picked the Apache and Chinook helicopters over the Russian competitors in the year 2012. Clearly, the Prime Minister is set for his second big-ticket visit to the US, but the visit is also high on political and economic agenda. It just may run into the Patel community roadblock. Now, a section of, the Patel community are very angry over the crackdown on Hardik Patel's quota agitation that took place back home in Gujarat. And so much so that some in the community are even demanding their Madison Square Garden funds to be returned so that they can now divert all of that money to the Patel movement.
September 2014, a rousing welcome to the man who was earlier banned entry into the US. This is what the Patels offered Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New York. And this is what the BJP offered the Patels in Gujarat. At least that is the sentiment prevalent among a section of the Patel community abroad. A group of influential and rich Patels from Saurashtra are now demanding refund of some money they invested in the Madison Square Garden event.
That money was raised for the humanity and to support for a good purpose, and this is a good purpose because they sacrificed their life in name of the democracy, liberty.
The simmering anger in the NRI Patel community was triggered by the August crackdown on the Patidar movement in Gujarat. Members of the community say they felt a sense of helplessness as they sat across the Atlantic just watching images and getting news about their own being roughed up in India. This feeling was only fired up on Saturday as the Patidar movement leader Hardik Patel was detained again and his rallies denied permission. 21-year-old Hardik Patel only too keen now to capitalize on this sentiment.
दबाव तो बनाएंगे क्योंकि हक की लड़ाई है तो किसी ना किसी पर तो दबाव बनाना ही पड़ेगा। मोदी जी पर दबाव नहीं बना रहे हम। मोदी जी को जो सही बात है वो दिखा रहे हैं कि पूरे विश्व के अंदर पाटीदार समाज पर जो अत्याचार हुआ है इसका विरोध हो रहा है।
The Patels in the US have also decided to organize a protest rally in New York. They claim to have the support of 10,000 people. About 5,000 are likely to protest in the Silicon Valley. But BJP believes this is unlikely to cast a shadow on the PM's US visit. But the party is hesitant making any comment over the issue at the moment.
The Prime Minister visiting US, do you think Patel reservation will have any...
Thank you. Chaliye.
This group of Patels also cut a black cake on Prime Minister Modi's birthday last week and likened him to Hitler. With Gopi Manyar in Ahmedabad and Brijesh Pandey in Delhi, Maha Siddiqui, India Today.
All right, so the Patel quota stir now reaching the US with a section of the US-based Patels threatening to play spoilsport in the trip of Narendra Modi's US. Now, while New York waits for Narendra Modi, Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj appears to be getting most of the spade work done in the bilateral ties in Washington. In fact, on Tuesday, a meeting between Sushma Swaraj and US Secretary of State John Kerry did lay the groundwork for the Prime Minister's visit. The two leaders highlighted the priority areas in bilateral ties as they inaugurated the Indo-US strategic and commercial dialogue. In fact, John Kerry and Sushma Swaraj minced no words in a joint statement on terror, where both the countries called upon Pakistan to punish the attackers of 26/11. India and the US decided to take their counter-terrorism cooperation to the next level in view of the danger posed by terror groups with safe havens. Even the D Company has been named as one of the terror outfits that pose a major security threat.
That terrorism is the biggest menace. I would like to add to that this is also the greatest challenge in the present context. And to fight terrorism, you need global as well as bilateral cooperation. And I am very happy that today India and United States have issued a joint statement on combating terrorism. And I'm also happier that United States appreciated our concerns and they also pledged support to fight terrorism together. One, we have said, we reiterate the threat posed by Al-Qaeda, Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed, D Company, and the Haqqani network, and other regional groups that seek to undermine stability in South Asia. Then, we call for Pakistan to bring to justice the perpetrators of the 2008 Mumbai attack. As I told you that they appreciated our concerns, so another bullet says, we strongly condemn the July 27, 2015 terrorist attack in Gurdaspur, Punjab, and August 5, 2015 attack in Udhampur, Jammu and Kashmir. This demonstrates the fact that we are determined to fight terrorism together.
Talk about ISIL specifically. We are committed to try to augment our efforts with respect to ISIL and other groups. Over the last 6 years, the intelligence community here in the United States has worked with all of our partners, and particularly with India also, in order to stop attacks before they happen. This specifically grew out of the Mumbai events, and we know it's difficult to do, but we're working cooperatively to be able to do that. And we hope to work even more with India's input on this, on the question of ISIL specifically.